Well, I have not always been in law enforcement, and I have to say I enjoy it. I do have, look, fully bodied means we've got feminine energy and we have masculine energy. So I was always, taught that I could be aggressive, just as aggressive as the guys. I didn't have to. So in my early career, I was actually a reporter, and I was a reporter in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I'll never forget, this was a very defining moment. And Knoxville was largely white male, it was very staid, it was the early 90s. And I can remember sitting with my male counterpart, and a elected official came in, acknowledged the male, but didn't acknowledge me and walked away. And I gave the look like, I know he didn't, and I know he really didn't, and I was in my 20s, and the reporter was like, be nice, and I wasn't mean. I got up, I extended my hand, I said, perhaps you didn't know that I'm a reporter, but my name is Stephany Snowden, and I'm with da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So when you say what are the advantages, I think that there are sometimes some obstacles, but I think you just have to go through them, and that's whether you're a male or a female. So, but maybe this is controversial and more than you want to know, but I never used my sexuality, and I never used that cuteness. I think that plays you dumb. I mean, I think then you gotta, and especially if that's not who you are. I wasn't raised to do that. I'm not judging other people that do that, but I think at the end of the day, if you play on your looks, or you play on being cute or being a damsel in distress, then that's a role you're going to have to always play. Mm-hmm. And I think I always tried to play from a place of mutual respect. And so it's really hard for me to answer that question because I never wanted to, because at 23, I knew that one day I would be 53. So, so then you're going to go crazy and go get plastic surgery because you're getting older. So no, I would look at that as you have your obstacles and you overcome them. But I think that you always have to play. Always have to play from a place of respect, and also respect for yourself and other people. Mm-hmm. And so whenever there was a point at which I felt disrespected, I actually spoke up for myself, whether that meant that I could possibly lose the job, not get the promotion, but that worked. It worked because, honestly, and I would tell any young woman or any middle-aged or even older woman, if you, in the workplace in particular, in your career, if you allow yourself to be overlooked, and that doesn't mean being obnoxious, but if you allow people to minimize you and you play cutesy and all of that instead of coming from a place of respect and that, that I have something valuable to contribute, I think you're going to be much more happy. And so I have been much more thoroughly just enjoyed my career because I've tried to come from that place, come from a place of humility, but also a place of respect for the people that I work with and, and for myself. So I think that's the easiest way. I don't really look at it. The advantage would be, I think some of the things I talked about earlier was that I think that women are naturally intuitive. Mm-hmm. I think we're natural consensus builders. And I think we know how to connect the dots because as wives, mothers, we have to figure out our way around the problem. We're not always going to use might. And as a matter of fact, in the law enforcement field, of which, our Columbia PD as well as Richland County, very reflective of the numbers of women. We have many women that are in law enforcement, that a good part of our population, and it bears fruit that law enforcement officers being female, we're some of the best because it's been statistically proven that we're not going to, on the use of force continuum, we're not going to go for force. We can talk a suspect down and, and get people to confess. So, so I think the world needs us. The world needs us women. And I think the advantage is just because of the fact that we have to be smart. We can't always use brawn. And I think women are very good, especially if we're fully evolved. We know how to pick and choose our battles, and some battles are just not worth fighting, you know. Probably about 17 years ago, when I was a reporter in Myrtle Beach, I was attacked and left for dead. And I have always, my mother says ever since I was like, I could breathe, that I was always very powerful. She was like, oh my gosh, that I wore her out. And so it was nothing for me to just throw a dart on a map and move someplace without family. And so I probably at that point in my life didn't even know where South Carolina was on the map. I'm originally from Virginia Beach. And I went to Tennessee, and then from Tennessee I came to Myrtle Beach to be a reporter. And one night I was attacked and I was left for dead. And you want to say that was probably one of the hardest points in my life, because I'd always been so independent. I mean, I picked up and moved to Phoenix, Arizona without anybody there. And so, you know, there are going to be things and times in your life that are going to test your power and that are going to make you actually feel overwhelmingly powerless. And just in thinking back to that time, you know, you're living your life, you're minding your own business, you know, and someone attacks you and leaves you for dead. And then you've got to deal with emotions that you didn't have before, like PTSD, being afraid, you know, just knowing that in that instant and in the aftermath, somebody that you don't even know has the ability to actually affect you and actually, in effect, take your life. So it was several years before I felt safe again. But 6 months after my attack, I was back on television in Columbia. My family was having a fit. They were like, Mom, don't let her. And she was like, I can't let your sister do anything. So, you know, I think, you know, and the lesson for me, because everybody, I don't care who you are, you're going to have those powerless moments. But I guess the lesson that I learned in it is that you have to work through that. You have to, because the thing is that I'm on the board of Sister Care. So that fear and being abused, it makes me have more compassion for people who are afraid and who are afraid to leave a situation. So I do think that God allows you to have those powerless moments because it allows you to have compassion for people who don't feel, who aren't powerful. And when I say that, you know, I think people who have embraced their power, it is contingent upon us, if you're a real woman, to use your power for good and to actually be a voice for the powerless. I mean, over the course of my time here, I have moved a young lady who was in foster care in my home. She was an adult but didn't get the mothering that she needed. I had to teach her how to pay bills and to be powerful and to know that she didn't have to live that story. So I think it is really contingent to be a powerful woman, and many of the powerful women that you are actually recognizing and that the city's recognizing, I think what makes them powerful is the fact that they're willing to share their power with others. I don't think it makes you powerful to hold on to those lessons. I think it makes you powerful to actually spread that power and breathe life into other young women, which I've done, even professionally in hiring. Every single woman, there's probably been about 7 over the course of my career here, every single one of them, I wanted them to shine. So, you know, I've been able to step back and let them develop their power, you know. So I think that's what a real powerful woman does. She shares that power, she embraces that, and she teaches other women to embrace their power.